Action. Welcome to day 3 of making our starter, our sourdough starter. So here is our sourdough starter after day 3. I actually looked at it after 12 hours and there was some growth, and I was really disappointed that for some reason I thought it should be further, but then this is about this is about 24 hours of growth. So on our 3rd day. So this is what it should look like. The rubber band was placed here where it started. So it has doubled in size. So this is what you're actually looking for. If you don't have this, if it has not doubled in size, then you're just gonna, what I would do is I would just extend your feedings one more day. So when we finish this video, just do one more day of it. So what we're gonna do today is what we did yesterday is we're gonna take out half and we're gonna put in a scant ½ cup of unbleached all-purpose flour and a ¼ cup of purified water. And if you're measuring, again, this would be 60 grams and 60 grams of flour and 60 grams of water. And again, I have the same size jar, and I'm going to take off my plastic wrap. And what I'm going to do is, if you can see, there's so many bubbles in here, and you've got some larger bubbles growing. I'm going to stir it down. It's really nice. And I can smell that it's starting to take on a little bit of an alcohol smell, not in a bad way. It's like a fresh alcohol smell. I was also told to mention that every time you do this, your starter is going to get lighter and lighter. And the reason is when we started it, we used a whole wheat flour, so it was dark. And now we're adding all-purpose flour every time. So every time I'm taking out half and putting in, more all-purpose, so it's going to get lighter and lighter. And actually, this is my starter that I just fed, so it needs to grow again. But this initially started with whole wheat flour also. So eventually, it'll just take on this color. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so remember, if you have a jar, you want to mark it. And I guess I should have mentioned this. If you're using these ball jars, the ball brand jars, they have markings on the side, and there's a 4-ounce mark that is a ½ cup, which is perfect. If you're using 2 other jars that do not have any markings on it, my suggestion to you is one time go ahead and measure out a ½ cup of starter and pour it into your jar and then see where it falls, and then you can mark it. And then you don't have to keep using the measuring cup to measure it. It's just going to save you time and a little bit of a mess, especially if you don't have 2 ½ cups, because then you would have to clean it out before you measured the flour, though you could use your ¼ cup. I mean, there's a variety of ways you can do it. All right, so I am pouring this in here, and it's still kind of stringy, which is okay, but I want to check. I don't want to put too much in here. I'm going to level it out, and let's see. And I would say that's too much. There's a little bit too much in here. Oh yeah, I can see I put too much in there. So I'm gonna take out some more. And what I think will be better, it's gonna take a second, sorry. I think we need to kind of do it like this. That is not getting much. Let me get couple of spoons to scoop it out. Just want a big chunk of it if I can. It will, it's sort of, I don't know what term to use, thready, where it's got gluten in it, so it's kind of holding itself together. So it's a little harder to get it out. Later, it will be a little bit more liquidy, so it won't be as, tight to it. All right, I think that should do it. Just want to make sure. Where's the line? And you really can't tell because you can't see, but here's the line. It's a little above the line, but we should be okay with that. A little bit above the line. You want to be around the line. You got to remember, people used to do this hundreds of years ago. I mean, they've been doing it for a very long time. So they didn't have digital scales. So they would just kind of guesstimate. So we should be okay. All right, so I'm going to add our 4th cup of water. And then I'm going to add our scant ½ cup of unbleached all-purpose flour. And then we will let it sit again for another 24 hours, and we will come back tomorrow for day 4 and feed it again. I think we feed up to 7 days. Now, if you're curious, there are so many websites out there. Don't forget your paper funnel. And there are funnels you can buy. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, if that's something you want, but the paper funnel seems to work fine. There are plenty of websites out there for troubleshooting. If you have any additional questions, there's also many different ways to make starter. So this is not the end-all be-all way. This is just the way that seems to have worked for me in the past. And so I'm gonna stick with it. We wanna stir this again until all the flour is gone. And actually, this is a good time to see how light it's gotten. And I will hold it up next to this one because it looks pretty much lighter than it has in the past. So I think that this might be a good, my goodness, every time I do this, I seem to have to add a little bit more water because it seems a little dry. I'm gonna do another 2 tablespoons. I think I've done this every time we've done it. I would still stick with the measurements I gave you for the simple fact that those are what usually works. And like I said, in the past, you can always add more. You can't take it out once you put it in. And then we're gonna add our rubber band, and tomorrow in 24 hours, we should have some growth. So don't panic if you see it in 12 hours and you don't think it's grown enough. Give it that full 24 hours at a relatively warm temperature of about 70 degrees. I have not been a fan of sticking it in ovens with the oven light on or the microwave with that on. The most I really like doing is maybe wrapping it in a towel. I don't like to add too much heat to it because nature can do it just fine. All right, so, well, I guess maybe it's not a huge difference.
Can we do this one?
Yeah.
Not
Not
a huge.
a huge difference. Maybe we'll see a bigger difference tomorrow. All right. So tomorrow we will see you for day 4.